Walking through the fire.
Good evening, everyone. How are y'all today on this Thursday? I'm sure it's cold. It's cold to me, so I know it's cold to you. I hope you guys have had a blessed day. Today, on Walking Through the Fire, again, I am your host, Crystal Majors. We are here and to have a real conversation using real life experiences discussing real issues. And today is always all about helping the community. And today we are the community. And so I have someone sitting with me on this evening that not only works in the community, but he lives what he talks in the community. Okay. Help me welcome assistant, okay, city city manager of the city of Clayton, Missouri. Welcome, Mr. Burr. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on Walking Through the Fire. I've been following along. You've been doing some great interviews, so I'm just excited to sit down with you tonight.
Well, God bless you. Thank you. And I don't take it lightly that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to sit and talk with the community on this evening. I believe that when they get off of this live, that they will truly be blessed with more information, more insight, and who Myron Burr is on this evening.
All right. Well, let's get to
Yes.
it, then. Let's get
Okay,
to it.
so I said, who is Myron Burr? I know that you gave me a little insight with your bio, and it said that you were guided by the proverb, a generous person will prosper. You believe strong communities are built through service, collaboration, and showing up for one another. A proud Indianapolis native, now living in St. Louis, you enjoy living a life with your wife Maggie and your dog Jag, and is always looking for ways to make every day everybody's favorite day. So I know when I said welcome who you are, and I gave your work title, you are also the founder and director of Everybody's Favorite Day Incorporated.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, in addition to being assistant city manager, in July of 24, I officially incorporated Everybody's Favorite Day Company Incorporated, a small nonprofit dedicating to meeting the needs of the community. And our mission is very simple: we educate, we feed, we donate, and we clothe. And that's what we've been doing for the past year or two in the community. Officially for the past 2 years, but we started kind of grassroots in 2023.
Okay, and keep that thought and put a pin in that because later on we got a segment that we're just going to focus strictly on your nonprofit because again, it's all about helping the community. But
All
first and
right, all right.
foremost, I want to talk. I love to ask who is the person sitting in front of us. A lot of times, no matter what our titles are or what we consider success, we are still human beings at the end of the day. So if somebody said, minus the councilman and minus the executive director and founder, who is Myron Burr?
That's a very loaded question. I think I'm a very multifaceted and dynamic
You
person.
say it's
Personally,
loaded.
it's a loaded question. I can answer that in a lot of different ways, but just to keep it short and simple for the viewers tonight, I would say Myron Burr is a person who loves his family, he loves his God, and he serves his community. And I try to incorporate that in everything that I do. We're here to talk about walking through the fire, but so I'm gonna save some of this for later in the discussion. But um, about 3 or 4 years ago in the pandemic, I really started thinking about who is Myra Bird and what do I want to do and what do I want to leave on this life. And I kind of come up with, when I'm dead and gone, you can't write your own obituary, so you have to live
My,
your obituary daily.
can you say that one more time for me and the people in the back?
When you're dead and gone, you don't get the chance to write your own obituary, so you have to live your obituary
Ooh.
daily. So I've kind of taken over the past 3 or 4 years. Well, what does that look like for me to make sure that when I'm dead and gone, I have to live that daily, and I know what people are going to say about me. So on my tombstone, I want people to say that he loved God, he served his family, and he served his community with nothing but his whole being. And that's kind of the words that I live by and kind of structure my life by that every day.
Mm. That's good. You said something that I think is important as well. And I don't care what age you are, from season to youngest. When we were in that COVID season, I believe that our babies suffered socially, emotionally, and mentally, as well as the adults. But I think as well for the adults, that really was an opportunity. It was make or break for a lot of people,
Yeah,
emotionally, spiritually as well. Um, in that moment where you had to be still, and you had to just be okay with yourself. You had to do a lot of self reflection, or you had a lot of time to do a lot of self reflection. And I do believe in that time, that's when we had a lot of people kind of doing what you're doing. Like who am I? What is my purpose? And you found a lot of new entrepreneurs coming out of that. Oh, I don't know what that was. New entrepreneurs coming out of that COVID season, finding them a better them, and tapping into some things that they didn't even know they were capable of doing.
absolutely. The COVID season for me, you absolutely right. It forced me to sit down and be still. I'm a very active and social person, and I'm just gonna be straight up and honest with you. The first month of COVID, everybody was excited. We don't really have to. It was a shift in work responsibilities. We're not going into the office. The work that we did do, it was a shortened work day. But after that first 2 or 3 weeks, you know, I slipped into depression, and it was a slow
Mm,
descent into depression. But I'm somebody who's very active. I'm somebody who's very social, and I wasn't getting that community through a screen. And then you throw in on top of that everything that was happening culturally around the United States, because everybody had time to sit down and kind of look at some social issues.
yeah.
That compounded on it as well. I lost some friends and some family members during that time of COVID, and not being able to go properly mourn and grieve for them during that period was tough. So yeah, that first like April through September, it was very, 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 very tough for me. Looking back on it now, that probably was the Lord saying, "Hey, you need to be still and just
Mm,
trust in me."
mm,
I had at the end of that in the fall time, right around September, October, I started seeing a therapist, and one of the things that the therapist said to me was, "COVID was probably a struggle for you, yes, because you missed that social connection, but
yeah.
also because you had to relinquish control." And
Ooh,
and when she said that, I kind of stopped and took a step back and was like, "Well, what do you mean about relinquish control?" And she was like, "Myra, you have your life so planned and so detailed and so scheduled out that
wow.
one thread, or pulling one thread on that, just kind of sent you into a unraveling period." And so
Yeah.
that's what COVID was for me. And I distinctly remember having a conversation with one of my friends as I was working through some of that depression, some of that anxiety, some of that unknown, and saying, "Well, depression just means that something's pressed down. And I know
Mm,
I'm pressed down right now and I'm on rock bottom, but I'm gonna bounce back. And when I bounce back, that bounce back is gonna be glorious." So uh, that first 6 months of COVID really, really messed with my brain, and really sent me into a dark place. But I was able to kind of work myself out of that with the help of one, therapy, but then
right.
I had some close friends and family who kind of rallied around me in that period as well.
You said something that I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna tell you now. I'm gonna use it like I made it up, or I said it. Maybe the
Okay,
first two times, I'm gonna give you credit,
okay,
okay?
okay.
But after
I'll
that,
release you. I'll release you. I'll
it
give you.
was
Go ahead. Go ahead. Take it around
it
with
belonged to me. You said something that I think put depression has so much of a bad connotation, a negative connotation, that you said depression just means that you're pressed down.
you. Yeah.
And I think that if a lot of our perspective changed and thought about it that way, a lot of us would be able to come out of it, I think, a little bit sooner,
Yeah.
helping to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But I thank you for that. Yeah, because COVID, yeah, it showed it made or break some people. And what I would say is I thank God that, even though, you may have had some family members passed, and I'm sure you or myself are not by ourselves, would say a million didn't make it, but we were
Yes.
one of the ones that did.
Yeah, it
And
was a
so,
dark time. Just
yeah, so I
it,
thank God.
generally,
And
yeah.
so, leading into my next question, you talked about family, and you are a native of Indianapolis, and now you in St. Louis, Missouri. What's that all about?
Yeah,
What
from
was
the
that
317,
transition?
from the 317 to the 314. So we talked about that that COVID area. I moved to St. Louis in 2018 without a plan for what I was doing. At that point, I had just turned 28 and I was just kind of going through the motions of life. And looking back on it now, I probably was dealing with some high functioning depression and anxiety at that moment in time that I never
Mhm.
really adequately addressed. So when it came up in 2020, it just came back a roaring beast. But my
Right,
time in
right.
St. Louis has been phenomenal. I owe a lot to my friend Lucy Cohen. She was the kind of the impetus that got me here. I thought I was going to go to a university to get my MBA. That didn't work out. And Lucy was like, "Hey, like you don't want to go to that university. I'm working at this university. Why don't you come
Mhm.
here and I can pay for you to get an education and give you a job through the university." So
Networking is everything.
I was like, all right, Lucy, like let's do it,
Manager.
right? So my first day in St. Louis, I moved here during the Memorial Day weekend. My siblings and my mother and my stepfather helped me move in on Memorial Day weekend. And then that following Tuesday, Lucy's there and we ride to work together. And we're 5 minutes away from the office. And she looks at me and goes, "Oh, yeah, by the way, Bert, this is my last day here at the university." I'm like, what you mean it's your
Right.
last
You
day?
brought me.
And she goes, "Yeah, but if I would have told you I was leaving, you wouldn't have accepted the job and you wouldn't be
Yeah.
here." And I kind of was like, all right, all right, all right. You're right, Lucy. You're right. Let's see where this goes. Lucy's one of my best friends, so her being there in St. Louis was like, all right, I got a strong support system. I'll be
Yeah.
okay. And then she's like, yeah, I'm leaving. I'm moving to Chicago. So I'm like, well, damn. But we were able to figure it out before she left, actually. So she was kind of bouncing around in the summer, but before she officially left to go to Chicago, she was like, there's somebody I want you to meet. One of my very dear friends from high school, you one of my very dear friends from college. And I'm like, all right, who is this person that you want me to meet? She's like,
Mhm.
it's my good friend Maggie. And you can't be your typical self. And I was like, Lucy, what do you mean I can't
I
be
was
my
say, what's
typical
your
self?
typical self?
And she looks at me and goes, you know what I mean? And I go, oh, what you mean? I'm gonna clean up the language I use. What you mean, a freaking gentleman?
I was about to
And she
say,
just
what you got to put your business 101 professor voice on?
And I was like, what you mean, a freaking gentleman? She leaned in and she goes, you know what I mean. I was like, all right, all right, all right. Hook it
Lucy
up.
sound like she A1, okay?
So I was like, all right, let's hook it up. Let's meet this young lady that you got for me. And it was a blessing that I didn't know was a blessing at the time because Maggie ended up being my future wife and the future mother of my children. So I know in my bio it says I enjoy life with Maggie and Jag, but we are expecting a little one coming up in March. So I'm very excited about that as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. Yes. So was it, I know you said, so are you a close-knit family or, because sometimes I know people get homesick. Do you
Mhm.
come to that frequently? Do you still have family here or what does
All
that
my
look like?
family, well, the majority of my family is in Indianapolis or the surrounding areas. So my father's family is in the Chicagoland, Gary area with a couple of people
Okay.
near Lansing and Detroit. But for the most part, the majority of my nuclear family, both mother and father, are in Indianapolis. My siblings, one's in Louisiana and one's in Virginia for right now, uh,
Mm.
for the time being. But yeah, it's tough being in St. Louis away from the family a little bit. One of the great things I love about my wife when we first started dating was that she's very close to her family as well. In the same way that my family gathers, her family gathers. So, there's no replacement for blood, but Maggie's family does do a good job of
It
being a
does
family.
make a difference. I know this our subject, but we talking like we on the couch, okay?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know how they say, well, I ain't gonna say they. I've heard people say, well, when I marry somebody, I don't marry their family. The devil is a lie.
yeah, yeah. You marry their family. You marry their
And
family.
you thank God. And you always hear people talk about their in-laws. I had in-laws before too. I had cool in-laws though.
Yeah, I
I
got
had some
great in-laws.
in-laws, baby. They wouldn't feed them if
I got great in-laws. My mother-in-law is one of she's like a surrogate mother at times. So my sister-in-law and her husband are great. Maggie's cousins are great. So like I said, they've been a great stand-in to
Yeah,
help
so that's
feel
good.
some of that familiar needs for me.
Yeah, when you far away from
Yeah.
family.
But I do
So,
get the chance to come back to Indianapolis quite a lot. My brother-in-law, he be teasing me. He's like, so how many times you go back to Indianapolis? And I was like, I'll go back 5 or 6. He was like 5 or 6, and then I started adding up, and he was like, I was like 10 or 12. He's like 10 or 12. I was like, all right. Maybe I go back to Indianapolis, and quite more than what I think I do. But with the new baby coming and everything, I started looking at the finances. It's expensive for me to get back to Indianapolis.
ooh, yeah, yeah. And babies ain't cheap. I thank God my kids is grown, but woo, babies ain't cheap. They a blessing, and somebody
They a
got to
blessing.
do it. So why not you?
So I try to get back to Indianapolis as much as I can. My parents are getting older. Whenever my siblings are going to be in town, whenever we have huge or prominent family
Mhm.
gatherings, I do my best to get back. But
Yeah, that's
with
good.
with the baby coming, I think I'm gonna have to reorganize and refocus on some things there.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Now, my last question, far as comes with family, I just want to tap back. You said you moved to St. Louis when you was 28. If you don't mind me asking, sir, how old are you now?
Yeah, I'm 35, Auntie.
30, 35.
35. Yes, ma'am.
35.
Yes, ma'am. So I just
35.
I just celebrated. I'm gonna plug everybody's favorite day again while I can, but I just celebrated my 35th birthday in August 3rd, and during my birthday week, I wanted to raise $3,500 for my small nonprofit just to help seed us and kind of get us going,
Yeah.
and so we can be able to kind of continue to do some of the things in the community. And I'm happy to report that we were able to raise more than $3,500. We raised a little bit over $3,800 in a
Come
week's time frame. So thank you to
on.
everybody who's able to give and support that. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Yeah,
Yeah, you like
yeah,
that? You like
yeah.
that?
I like that. I like that. I like
All
that.
right, thank you. I got your approval. Okay, I like that. Okay, so I just want to commend you, and that's why as well you were. I'm glad you were able to come this evening, and it was for different reasons, but most importantly because my show is about helping us become better, us, so they can become a better them, and them meaning the next generation. And to see you, a young Black African American man, and you are the assistant city manager for a city, and you have your own foundation, that is to be commended because you are an example to others that look like you. uh,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, that you can be young and step out there and you can do it and be successful. So
Go
cool.
ahead, give me a round of applause on that one. Let me hear the crowd again.
You over
There we go. There we go.
okay. I like that. I like your excitement. I like your excitement this evening. Okay, so I want to, again, my show is always to help the community. And I keep saying it because I want to make sure that people leave here understanding the mission and vision and impact that Walking Through the Fire aspires to be. And so everybody has a walking through the fire
Mhm.
moment, and no matter what title you hold or what you're on my show to talk about, I always want to give people the platform and the opportunity to tell their story. um and I want to give you, if you're willing, this opportunity just to give the community maybe one of your walking through the fire moments, and what did that look like and how did you make it through on the other side?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this, and I've got so many walking through the fire moments. I spoke at the beginning about COVID and the depression that I fell into, and it was tough. Especially when those closest to you are like, "Hey, like, what's going on?" And I'm a very jovial and upbeat person, so it was easy for me to kind of go through the motions for a long time before the wheels fell off of that. And quite frankly, it wasn't until that it started impacting my work. At the time, I was working at a university as an instructional designer, and the quality of my work started to slip a little bit. And my boss kind of pulled me to the side and says, what's going on here? Like, there's something wrong. This is not you.
Right.
And, I remember sitting with her one on one. We had just gotten kind of back from COVID. So, we had this big long table 6 feet apart. And I just started crying. Like, I don't know what is
Yeah.
going on. Like, I was so deep into the depression and going through the motions, I wasn't able at that time to recognize how to pull myself out. And uh, I pride myself on being a strong-willed person. I played defensive back in college. I've been a two-sport athlete. I was a two-sport athlete in college, and very successful on the athletic field, very successful up until that point in life. So I was looking at this as like another challenge for me to overcome, and I
Mm,
didn't have the tools to do that by myself. And my wife at that time was just wasn't even my fiance, it was still my girlfriend. And my family members, they could recognize something was wrong as well, but they didn't necessarily have the tools to help uplift me out of that depression either. So it was something that I knew I wanted to fix, but all the quick fixes that I used to use before, like, all right, just put your head down and just
yeah.
get it done, or just
Yeah.
write down a list and get your work done. You'll feel better. It was kind of
Yeah.
like an emptiness. So I would do all those things and then just be like, okay, we back to the same thing. So like, the same thing I did Monday is gonna be the same thing I did Friday, gonna be the same thing I do next Monday. And it just kind of spiraled. And it really took for me to sit down and go seek therapy from a professional who's trained at kind of helping me walk through some of this and understanding, well, you're really deep into control and you have to relinquish some of that control because sometimes you're just not in control. You can control the things that are within your grasp, but sometimes you just balancing too much and you're just not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So I got that from the therapy, from the therapy sessions, but what really helped me kind of climb out of my depression, I hate to sound cliche here, was I started reading the Bible. So my
You,
mother um, bought me a devotional, and I was just really committed to reading that devotional every morning. And I
were
would read
you
the
not,
devotional.
did you not read the Bible before that?
No, I mean, I go to church every Sunday, but that would be the extent to my walk with God. I'd pray to God every now and then, and this, that, and the third, but I wasn't really connected to the Lord in a real meaningful way. So, like I said, my mother had bought me a devotional for my 30th birthday that happened during COVID, and I didn't crack it open until like November, October. And I was like, all right, well, let me sit down and start going through the word and really seeing what it is. And the devotional was just an easy way for me to say, oh, there's somebody else 2000, 15,000, however long ago has gone through something similar to this and really uh, tested my faith, so to say. So one of my favorite verses during that time frame was James 1 and 2, where it counted all joy, all trials and tribulations joy, because they
That's good.
produce perseverance, and the testing of your faith produces
That's good.
perseverance, which makes you perfect. And I'm paraphrasing here, so don't quote me. Go
I
go look
got
it up, James 1 and 2. And in the moment, it was dark, but like I'm like, hey, this is gonna be for my benefit. It's all grist to the mill. Like I know I'm hurting right now, but let me just claw my way back. Let me just claw my way back little by little. All count it all joy, all trials and tribulations. So it was dark, and I was going through it at the time, but I was able to just kind of day by day, just day by day,
Let
day
me
by day.
ask, when you said that you were in your boss's office and you started crying, I guess this question is twofold. Were you an emotional person so you knew that you crying was out of the ordinary? And did you know at that point that what you were experiencing was depression?
I'm not an emotional person. Well, let me take that back. Let me take that back. I am an emotional person, but I'm a emotional in private. Like you're
Gotcha.
not gonna see me display my emotions out in public. So for me to start crying, it was off the beaten path for everybody involved. And I wasn't in there. Oh, let me clear that up. I still got, but
You got
tears.
the,
Yeah, yeah. But the tears did start streaming down my face, and that's unlike me. Um, and I knew that I was probably dealing with something deeper than just not being able to get up and go to work or not wanting to put on clothes or anything like that. Uh, but it took my wife to kind of be like, hey, you're probably got a little bit of anxiety and you probably got a little bit of depression and you need to go speak to somebody about this. And that push from the boss, coupled with what my wife was saying, kind of is probably what led to that
You
decision.
got a good wife. And
Yeah, she was my girlfriend at that time, but I married her.
yeah, and what I will also say, and because again, your age, I'm just going to assume that 9 times out of 10, a young man your age would probably reject that idea, or it's, I don't need nobody to talk to me. You don't know what you're talking about, that type of thing. And so I hate that our community has gotten it in our minds that what you said earlier, that high functional depression.
Yeah,
And so whether it's man or woman, man, you're built to don't cry, just keep going. And women, because we have been, some of us forced into this culture of we're independent and we have to do it ourselves. So no matter how we feel, breaking down or depression is a luxury, for no, somebody like us,
yeah,
or whoever. And so it's easy to walk around in that high functioning depression until the wheels fall off. And when the wheels fall off, you ain't just got a flat. I mean, every last one of them fall off, and them balls fall, like you said, juggling those balls. Um, and it's okay to say we're not okay.
yeah. So I had to sit with that and just being not okay and then working my way back. But it wasn't necessarily about just working my way back. I had to put guardrails around myself, so to say, um, to recognize like, hey, like you do this is going to lead to this, and understanding
Mhm.
like I'm very high achieving, high performing, and through the depression, I was able to say, well, you have too much on your plate, and it was okay for me to take a step back. I also recognize that I'm a very routine and scheduled person. Like I said, I was a three-sport athlete in high school. I was a two-sport athlete in college, so I'm very relying on schedules and routine and discipline. Uh, but that can't be my end all be all. I had to
Yeah.
kind of learn to navigate when, hey, your routine is messed up or your schedule is messed up. It's going to be okay. You just have to make sure you're not out of routine for too terribly long. So, uh, just this past fall, I'm in my master's public policy program, and I'm trying to take as many classes in a semester as possible so I can graduate a little bit earlier. My wife is getting her doctorate, so I wanted to.
And you got a baby on the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to. So my wife is
And
getting
you
ready to
got a
graduate. Yeah,
full-time.
yeah. Yeah. So it was a new routine, a new schedule for me in the fall. We figured out we were pregnant. My wife is going through some changes. Our household's going through some changes. I started a new job. It was the beginning of the semester. My routine that I was accustomed to for the past 2.5 years was changing, and I could recognize like, hey, like you're in a period right now where everything seems like chaos. It's going to be okay. You kind of got to work your way through it and then set up that routine and then get back to that discipline and that ease of clear of mind. And now, right now, we're at the end of the semester, and my wife, she's also in school. She's pregnant. She's entering the third trimester. She's in her doctoral program.
That's
I'm at
good.
this new job. The semester's coming to a close, and our house right now, y'all see a glimpse. Yeah, our house right now is in shambles. And I kind of, a dirty house, a cluttered house is a cluttered mind, and I understand that. But it's like, hey, like I'm gonna get to that, but we got to get through this period right now before we can kind of work on some
Well,
some other
they say
guardrails.
connection, if it's at they doorstep, it's like, man, can you touch the screen for me? So
I
that
got you. I
way
got you.
we can
I
touch
got
and
you. I
agree
got
that
you. I
the
got
same favor of God that is flowing over there in St. Louis will come over
you.
here and hit my doorstep, because God
Yeah.
is definitely in the blessing business. So I am so thankful that He is making a way for you and your family to be able to expand your family, as well as be able to juggle all those jobs you got going on.
Yeah, so you talk about depression. That's that, we've kind of moved past that. I'm constantly in the fire, Auntie. Like I'm in so let me take that back. So a couple of years ago, I just had a true and honest conversation with God. I started fasting. It was like, all right, God, like, come on, man. Like we had 2020. I kind of bounced back in 21. You know, we got married in 22. My cousin passed like 2 months after we got married, and that shook not only my household, it shook my entire family.
Right.
My godmother had passed at the beginning of 21. I got all these things going on around me. You know, God gives you the vision sometimes and doesn't necessarily show you the path or
Come
or
on.
or,
Come
or tell
on.
you how you're going to get there. So, you know, we get married in 22, and I have this vision over our life for us, for our household, and I'm like, this is where we're going to be, and I know we're going to be there. I just don't know how I'm going to be there, and I know my wife is probably tired of me saying this, but for about 6, 7, 8 months, the only thing that I could say is God will provide. Like
That's
God provides. Like I don't know how it's going to happen, but
you
God
just know
provides.
it's gonna happen.
So we wanted to buy a house. We wanted to do certain things. You know, our money was funny after the wedding, and I'm like, hey, like God provides. It's gonna be all right. This is a testing of our faith, and so like when I say I'm walking through the fire, I am in the fire. So I would say about maybe a year or two ago, I started fasting in the springtime in March. It was just like, listen, God, like I know that you're going to bless me,
Yeah.
and you have already blessed me, but I don't want to keep coming to you asking for the same blessings continuously over and over and over and over again.
My God.
So there's a verse, right? It's Philippians 4, 10, maybe 4:11. I'm paraphrasing again, but the verse everybody remembers is Philippians 4:13. I
Yeah,
can
it's
do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But before that, he talks about stirring up the gifts that are
that's
already placed
right.
inside of you. So in my fasting, in my moment of quiet, I said, God, listen, I know that there are gifts that you have already placed inside of me. Part of that is being a leader. I'm very comfortable with being in a leadership position. I'm very comfortable with speaking to people. You know, I'm very comfortable with convening people and gathering people. All right, God, these are natural gifts that you have placed inside of me, and I know I have some educational gifts that I've trained in and I've studied for. I don't want to keep coming to you to ask for the same blessings over and over and over again. Stir up the gifts that you have already placed inside of me. Light me on fire
Yeah,
so that I can be a bit bigger and better vessel for you.
yeah,
Bless me so that I can bless others. But just don't bless me, Lord. Bless me in a way that is sustainable so that I can build a solid foundation and then continue to be a blessing
that's
for others.
right.
And
Impactful.
that's
Right.
scalable.
Yeah,
So bless me now with sustainability, but also bless me with the wherewithal to be able to scale this and not
that's
just bless
right.
one person or two people, but bless people on a larger scale. So God and I,
Yeah.
we've been talking, we've been working through it, and at that time, God was like 3 years, Myron, 3 years.
Mm,
My non-for-profit at that moment had it. I had it incorporated it officially yet. So I was like, all right, 3 years. I got some steps I got to take,
that's
and I
right.
don't know nothing
It's a
about no
process.
nonprofit work. You know what I'm saying? So it was. I'm really relying on God, and I'm walking through that fire. And I want to say this point. You know, walking through the fire is not always bad. It's a refinement process
That's right.
because when you take gold out of the earth to purify it, they throw it in the fire, and in
That's
that
right.
fire, everything that is not supposed to be on that gold block
Come on.
falls off. So yeah, I'm in the fire right now.
Come on.
It might be hot, but everything that's not supposed to be around me is falling off. So bad
And you
habits
gonna come
that are
out not
falling off, right?
smelling like smoke
Not
and not
smoke
a
or nothing.
stench on you.
I'm gonna be coming out more valuable. I'm gonna be
That's
shining. I'm gonna
right.
be clean. So I'm in the fire right now, and it's a great place for me to be because I understand what is happening, and it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Oh, very
It's
much
very
so.
uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. I mean, it's hot in
Any
there, but it's uncomfortable.
I'm gonna say anything hot is uncomfortable. You know what I mean? But like you said, God puts us through things to increase our faith, increase our patience. Sometimes we say that we have faith, but you don't have faith till you really need to activate it and you
Yeah,
down to nothing and you realize God is up to something.
yeah,
So I definitely understand it. And as well as you were speaking and talking and saying what are the things that you pray about, because see, we can be so materialistic in our prayers. We can be so superficial with our prayers. But just like Solomon asked for wisdom, baby, you ask for wisdom and knowledge, and that's the key and tool to everything. And he says, when you first seek the kingdom of God, then all these other things, the benefits, the blessings, all that extra stuff that you don't have to even go to God to pray about will come to you. Come
I
to
believe
you.
that. I believe
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I've been walking with God and trusting God. We talk about my nonprofit. I don't have no nonprofit experience. I don't really know anything about running a business as or at least when I first started. So you talk about trusting God and walking through the fire. This nonprofit started in my backyard because I wanted something very easy for me to do and affordable for me to do after I got married. We had a great
Mhm.
wedding, but we spent so much money. So I was like, hey, let me find a hobby or something that is low cost, but gets me out and about, and I can do it on Saturdays and kind of take my mind off some things. So that's kind of how the nonprofit started, and it's kind of blossomed from there. So we started with nothing in 2024. Officially started with nothing, and really it was just me propping up the nonprofit saying, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this, let's do that. And within a short time frame from July 2024 to December 2025, we're on pace to raise almost $5,000 this year. And that number is still growing as we kind of go, thank you, thank you, thank you, and kind of grow and do some different things. So it really is just trusting God, and He's building it piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by
Let's go
piece by
ahead
piece.
and let's go ahead and talk about that. Okay. So everybody's favorite day is your nonprofit organization. And tell us what your mission is again.
Yeah, so our mission is very simple. We educate, we feed, we donate, we clothe, and those follow on, along at home. Everybody's favorite day: EFDC: educate, feed, donate, clothe. The education piece is we just want to make lessen the burden of education for teachers and students. So one way that we can do that right now is we partnered with the Rittner School District in their food pantry. So we were kind of able to double up our education piece and our food piece right there and to provide some scholarship to the Rittner Food Pantry so they can be able to bless other people in their area with food around the Thanksgiving time. The food piece is really about a community garden. So we're in talks right now. We're planning right now. Try to acquire a larger piece of land in my backyard, and I'm trusting God throughout that process because I've met with a local city here in the St. Louis area, and I went in with that conversation thinking, okay, this is vacant land. They're going to be able to give me this vacant land. I can do X, Y, and Z. And I left that conversation with, yeah, 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 that's great, but we need somebody to help develop this economically. So I went in as a gardener in that conversation. I left that conversation as an economic developer, something I don't have any experience in. But
But
we talk about God providing for
come
you.
on.
I'm in this master's program, and one of the gentlemen in my program, we just get to talk in between break in the class. He goes, "Oh yeah, I used to be a city planner, and I used to work with the city that you're working with right now. I like the
Mhm.
concept that you have, and I would love to partner with you on that.
Put
So
you in
after
the
class, we
rooms you
should."
need to be in.
Right, right. So after class, we should get to after the semester ends, we should get together. And here's the kicker, Auntie. Not only is this gentleman in my class and he's willing to help me with this, but he stays 10 minutes away from me. I could walk to his house.
Wow.
So he's an immediate resource for me
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the food piece. We want to provide healthy, low end, low cost options, or not low end, healthy, low cost options to our community. As
You
we,
hold on. You said your community garden. So you got this community garden in the back
yes,
of
ma'am.
your house right now,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I have been blessed to see it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to post some pictures. He had like a 35-pound watermelon. What do you have in this garden?
So this year we grew tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. We grew watermelon. We grew carrots. We planted onions. We had peppers. Um, I'm working on We had beans. I try to grow corn, but the squirrels got to me on the corn. We had sunflowers, so banana trees. So I'm really just trying to expand and really see the best avenue and the best things for me to grow. As we talk about capacity, we are a small nonprofit, and it's a lot of me doing the heavy lifting. So I have to be smarter about what I'm planting. I don't have to plant the whole entire forest. I can be a little bit more strategic about what I'm planting. But yeah, the water. Or we had cucumbers, we had pickles this year.
Yeah, that was
The
good. That
watermelon,
was
though,
good.
the watermelon right now are a highlight. We did grow some watermelon, some Jubilee watermelon, the oblong ones, about 35 pounds. My family was able to come down for Labor Day, and we had about 35, 40 people over for our Labor Day party that we do annually every year. And we still didn't get through all that watermelon. I had watermelon for a week, and then on top of that, I had about three or four more other large watermelons too that I had to eventually give away to the community as well.
What is so surprising to me, and I don't know in the community if I'm by myself, is that you said 35, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're 35. You know how you got a green thumb. You know how to garden. But why do you think that piece? And we're talking about the Black community, the
Yeah.
community where there's always a desert, a grocery or food desert. There are no grocery stores, and then back, nowadays they've closing all the community grocery stores. Why do you think this community garden is so important for not only the city of St. Louis, but just our culture and our people in the community, period?
So when we talk about our culture and our people, I think we have to understand historically of where we come from. And I'm not talking, go all the way back across the Atlantic. That piece is important too because that's part of our history and part of our roots. But if we just historically think over the past, 100, 150 years, so it's 2025. You go back to 1925. You go back to 1865. The where African Americans have been situated in the American story. We were planters by a large part, we were planters. And then slavery, that's all we did. We were planting different things, different fruits. We brought our culture from Africa here. We were still planting, we were still planting. And then once we get to the Reconstruction era or the end of slavery, we were sharecroppers. But we've lost a large portion of us have lost that touch during the Great Migration North. So we went from these sharecropping fields in the South to these large northern cities, and we've lost that
Yeah.
green thumb, right? So for us to have a green thumb or get back to garden is really just a return to our roots. So my father's family migrated to Michigan and in the Chicagoland area by way of Georgia. My mother's family's got some Tennessee in them and some Kentucky in them as well, where we were doing those things back then, but then we come to these large urban areas and we lose that. So for me, what really got me interested in gardening is my father. I used to stay in the Hallville area in Indianapolis off of 10th Street, and there was a vacant house behind him. And he had a small little garden in his backyard. But when this vacant lot became available, he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna plant something over there just for my own edification and my own enjoyment. And the people in the Hallville area, if they want to come get some fresh produce, they can come do that. So he did that for about 4 or 5 years. Eventually, the city sold the lot, so he was left without that avenue. But now he participates in the Mayor's Community Garden over in Eagle Creek off of 56th Street in Indianapolis. So he really gave me that ideation of, hey, you can grow food and you can do this, and this will be fun and simple and enjoyable for you. But you can also give the food back and take care of your community. So his focus, he gave all of his food back to his church, and that's where that donation piece comes in for my nonprofit. I recognize that I'm one person and I might not have the reach to be able to reach the people that actually need it. So that donation piece is really about collaboration and partnership. So I have the opportunity to serve on the associates board for Peter and Paul Community Services, which is an organization that walks with those facing homelessness um, here in St. Louis. Their entire journey of homelessness, from being on the streets to finding adequate housing. They walk with them through that journey. And I also attend Friendly Temple. So two of my partner organizations right now are Friendly Temple and Peter and Paul. So we just wrapped our annual winter clothing drive. This is our third year of doing the clothing drive. The clothing drive actually came before the nonprofit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so we're excited about some of the effects or the impact that our clothing drive has had in the community. We partnered with Friendly Temple for the first 2 years, and this year we were able to expand that to Peter and Paul and Friendly Temple as well. So that donation piece is just being understanding that we're better when we walk together in this community. And I might be doing something that you're not doing, and we can partner together. And you might be doing something that I'm not doing, but I can support you in that endeavor as well. And obviously, our clothing drive was kind of like the impetus that led to the founding of Everybody's Favorite Day Company Incorporated. So that's where that seed comes in. We just want to make sure that people have essentials in the winter or in the summer, and that they're closed. So if you look at our mission, we're really accomplishing basic human needs: education, food, and clothing. If you can focus on those three things, there's other community organizations that should be able to come and provide some wraparound services. And that's kind of how it got started.
Yeah. So I know that you have some videos that show people some gardening tips and
Yeah.
things like that. Where can they find that at?
You can find all of this on our Instagram page, at everybody's favorite day. You can also follow us on Facebook. I think our page on Facebook is everybody's favorite day company. Those are the two places right now where we're putting out information. But we put out information every Tuesday or Thursday, or we try to put out some type of content every Tuesday and Thursday. So just follow along. Um, that's the best place to reach us and get a hold of us. We also have a email address, which is give at everybody's favorite day at gmail.com. And I got to check my email address, but that's one place you can get in contact with us and reach us as well.
That's good. That's good. And as well, community, I am going to put a link, a PayPal link, where if you want to partner with them and you want to sow a seed into fertile ground, you're able to do it through that link. You can do it 365 days, 24 hours a day.
Amen, amen, amen. We will
And
welcome all support that we can get, whether it's $5 or $5,000. Every cent
yeah,
helps and counts.
yeah, it does. It does. Thank you so much. And so, what I guess if somebody is wanting to really get involved with maybe even starting their own nonprofit, or like you said, you had been, God gave you this vision and you toiled with it for a couple of years, or you put it on ice and let God do what needed to be done and take you through that process. What is some advice you would give somebody else that is sitting on an idea that was given to them by God?
I would say positioning is very important. And what do I mean by positioning? So I recognize um, a couple years ago that hey, I've got these grand ideas and these grand visions and that I want to do and impact St. Louis. I'm a St. Louis transplant, so I'm from Indianapolis. I don't know really anybody here or the movers and shakers here. So let me go sit underneath or join an organization that will allow me to meet some of those people. So I joined a civic leadership organization here called Focus St. Louis. You go through, 4 months of leadership training, but the civic training was the most important part for me. So I was able to see some of the different civic issues that were going around and impacting the St. Louis metro area to make sure that I wasn't duplicating my efforts, or if I was duplicating my efforts, I'd be able to partner with the people who are doing the things that I wanted to do. So that was great in that aspect. So once I was able to understand the civic landscape, the positioning was okay. A lot of what I'm dealing with is public policy. So how do I learn about public policy? Well, well, at the time I was working at a university. Let me see what they offer in terms of policy degrees. So I had to go get the education and the theoretical understanding and the foundation so that when I'm sitting in this room with these people, not only do I understand what they're talking about, I can also add to the conversation and use the information to help in my own personal endeavors or my
Yeah,
professional endeavors. So it was understanding education and training, understanding the civic landscape and how to maneuver in this space. But positioning also means who can help me with this, right? So positioning yourself, networking essentially, positioning yourself to be able to be in the rooms with people who might not be able to help you, but they know who can help you, and
that's it.
building those relationships. And then the last positioning piece I would say uh, really is just situating yourself in the best possible way to be a vessel and to be used. And I had a train of thought that was going along positioning that is escaping me right now. But for me, positioning was definitely the most important thing. So you have to be able to be prepared, and once you're prepared, you have to be in position to be able to move through whatever it is that you want to do. So that was very impactful. And then the last one is just go, just do it. Like
Yeah.
I literally started at my desk in my basement, and I was like, okay, I want to become a nonprofit. I want to raise a certain amount of money. How do I do that? Well, you can get charitable donations. Well, how do you get charitable donations? You have to be a 501c3 organization. Well, how do I get a 501c3 organization? Well, you got to go through the IRS and the Fed and the tax system. Okay, so I'm there. Well, what do they require? Well, they require you to be an
Don't
incorporated
scare
in your
us.
state, right? So I'm not trying to scare you, but you just got to go, and you can kind of build the plane as you're flying.
Do that
So
building block. Yeah.
yeah, so I started with $0, and like I said, we're on pace to raise 5,000, which to some people may not seem like a lot, but from where I was, that's a
Say from
huge step
zero.
forward,
That's right.
right? So in our first year as a fully incorporated company, we raised $500, and that was me asking my mother and my grandmother, "Hey, I need some help. Like, this is, help me with my organization so I can be able to do the things that I want to do." And they were like, "Okay, we got you." And then I threw in a little bit of extra on top of that to get to that $500 point.
Yeah.
So from $500 to $5,000, that's like 10 times, right?
That's
So
it.
it's baby steps, it's growth and progress in that. So just don't be afraid to start.
Yeah. I like the last point. Just go.
Just go.
You're
Just
not
just
gonna
do
have
it.
the
Yeah.
whole game plan, the blueprint. You may not have all the tools or even the knowledge. Just go and,
Yeah.
and
Just
let
go.
God do the rest. I want to touch on one more thing before we kind of wrap up here and go to our closing. But you are the city manager, and so I know that you're heavily involved with the community in St. Louis. I know you're a native from Indianapolis. Do you see some similarities when we talk about some of the issues that St. Louis face that Indianapolis does?
Yeah, I think especially as we talk about first, let me explain what a city manager is, because I don't know if a lot of
Thank
people
you. Yeah.
understand what a city manager is. So in Indianapolis, we have a council mayor form of government. You elect your mayor, you elect your council members, and they are the ones that run and operate the government, so to say. They set the agenda, and then they are the ones who also carry out the agenda or make sure the agenda is carried out. But you also have professional staff members. So the mayor is your chief executive in Indianapolis, and the mayor appoints, fire, police, public works, parks and recs, finance. They all report to the mayor. Uh,
Chiefs. Yeah. Okay.
right. So the department heads all report to the mayor and the mayor council form of government. Where I work in the city of Clayton is a manager council form of government. So you have your elected officials, but then you have a professional staff member who is my boss, the city manager, who runs in runs the daily operations of the department, so to say. So all those department heads will report to him, and I assist throughout the city. So communications falls upon me, the municipal courts run through me, and then I help fill gaps across the administration. So that's the difference, the main like philosophical governance difference. So my council would be my board of directors. My manager would be the CEO. So he runs, everybody reports to him in the organization, but he responds to the board of directors, which is our
Right.
council members, if that makes sense. They're his
Yeah.
boss. Um, so that's one difference. I would say uh, Indianapolis is Marion County, and Marion County is Indianapolis. They consolidated, I think, around 2005. That's not the case here in St. Louis. So you have the city of St. Louis, which is about 350,000 people, but then you have St. Louis County, and they're not one and the same. There's a division of government there. So you have the city, and then you have the county.
Gotcha.
In St. Louis County, you have 88 different municipalities. Some of those municipalities are 25,000 people. Some of those municipalities have 100 people. So that's a difference right there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you say municipalities, does that mean like cities?
Cities,
Okay,
cities.
thank you. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
yes,
thank you.
yeah, yeah. So in St. Louis County, there are 88 different cities, all with their own form of government, with their own
Okay.
mayors, or their own council members,
Oh,
and
wow.
you might have a business where the actual office building is in one city, and then 5 feet away, your parking lot is in another city. So that means your business is operating in between two different municipalities and two different legislations, two different board of aldermen or
Yeah.
council members. So that part is tough. That part is unique, I think, to St. Louis. Um, and sometimes those cities play well with each other, and sometimes those cities don't play well with each other. But if we talk about the civic issues that are impacting people,
Yes.
I think those issues are very similar, whether you're in Indianapolis or you're in St. Louis. So there's a housing shortage. People are struggling with food. People are struggling with employment. People are struggling with their basic needs. I think those are universal. So
Yeah.
obviously, my organization is based here in St. Louis. You know, my wife and I just bought a house. We're building roots down here in St. Louis. So my primary focus is in St. Louis, but I would love to stretch that I-70 corridor and be able to have organization in St. Louis, but also have organization
Yeah.
in Indianapolis as well. And I'm working towards that. But like I said, I got to learn how to do some things here first.
Yeah.
So first would be acquiring that piece of land with a local city here in St. Louis County to be able to kind of test run, so to say, how this would look, how that would be, and then be able to bring something like that to Indianapolis as well.
Okay. Um, my last question for this right here, when we talk about being the city councilman for the city of Clayton, what go if you had just one, what goal or project would you champion that you want to see fall or go through in the next 5 years?
Ooh, in the next 5 years,
Yeah. If you just had one project or one goal that you said, this is the one that I want to make sure gets done and
I,
in the next 5 years.
I don't I don't know if this would be able to take place within the next 5 years.
We're having a little technical difficulty. Hopefully, guys, we can get him back in here. So if he doesn't come back, I know he'll come back because we got a game to play. But I thank you guys for even taking it. I even forgot to ask y'all. I was so into it that I even asked you guys, did you have any questions? If you got questions, put them in the chat. You still got time. We will make sure that they get answered. We are having a great conversation over here. Please make sure you like and share. There he is. He's back.
Sorry for that interruption. I apologize. The
I was
internet.
filling in the gaps. I was telling them to make
All
sure
right,
they
all right,
like
all
and
right.
share and comment.
I'm back. I'm back. So I'm sorry for the interruption, but you asked what would I like to see accomplished in the next 5 years
Yes.
in the city of Clayton. I'm gonna go just for the St. Louis metro area. So Indianapolis has consolidated and is one county, one city. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that took a heavy lift and a heavy load, but if I was to champion something, that would be it. A city county merger is what they call it here in St. Louis. Um, but if we can't quite do a city county merger, I would like to see some consolidation of municipalities in
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis because
Yeah.
um, we see a lot of duplication of efforts across the region that if we were able to figure out how to come together as a community and collaborate a little bit more, uh, we wouldn't have to, you know, reinvent the wheel every day.
Yeah, yeah, or
So
bump
yeah,
heads.
we're fighting for resources.
And especially if my my business is over here in this city and then my parking lot is in another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we
I
get
don't
it?
know if that's an example. I don't know if that's happening across the
Yeah, yeah,
region, but it's a possibility.
but you'll be surprised because here in Indianapolis, I know out west for like school districts. My cousin and them used to live over there for one of them streets in Howville, and the side of the street she lived on was Northwest High School. The other side of the street was Ben
Washington,
Davis.
Ben Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but imagine that
So
but on a larger scale. So if we could figure out a way to come together in that aspect, I think it would be good for the region.
Okay.
But I don't know what those issues are. And a lot of people smarter than me are kind of working behind the scenes to kind of figure
Yeah,
some of those things out.
I'm sure.
And that's a huge ask because there's a lot of things that have to happen on the back end to be able to
Oh,
just even bring
definitely.
that conversation up. But I
And
think
I'm
that
gonna
would be
I'm
good
gonna
for the
say
league.
this, and I put a little money to it. It's a lot of power that got to be relinquished that ain't gonna want to be relinquished. So, and anytime it's a power struggle, you know what that money and power struggle. So
Yeah,
it look
yeah,
like y'all gonna
yeah,
have 101 municipalities
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for a
So
minute.
yeah.
Okay, will you help me? We're gonna be closing out, but I want to do something fun, which I like to call the Myth Busters. Would you help
All
me
right,
out
all
with
right.
some
Let's
myth
do it. Let's do
busting?
it. Let's do it.
All right, now this is church myth busting. Okay, okay. They say church is boring. Is that a myth?
Uh, I'm gonna say I'm gonna qualify it. I'm gonna qualify it.
What you mean you gonna
I'm gonna
qualify it?
qualify it. It is a myth, but it also depends on what church you belong to. Because I find some services are like, hey, this not this. I'll be going to sleep. That's not for me. It's not for me. But I
Ooh,
appreciate Friendly Temple because Friendly Temple, is not boring to me. My home church that I grew up in was Mount Carmel, and the way that Dr. Williams used to preach that word kept me
uh-huh,
engaged. And the same way at Friendly Temple, we got Bishop Jones and now Pastor Mike is preaching sometimes as well, and it's just a good. It feels good to be in the house of the Lord. So I'm gonna say
energetic.
yes,
It's
it's a
good.
myth, but it can be true sometimes.
Yeah, it can be true sometimes. Listen, I don't think I ever been in a church service, even when I wasn't really in church, but was in church and going to the club like. But listen, I'll tell
Hey,
you
I'm
something.
gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I've been in some church service. I've been hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. So, being honest. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. I'm being honest.
Listen, now I didn't see some of my seasoned saints be looking like they looking down, but they really sleep. But I was in Anderson preaching one Sunday, and I don't know who preaches at their church, visiting wise, okay? Because one guy put on social media that his intention, he thought he was gonna go to sleep, but because it was an AME church, so I'm
Okay.
non-denominational. So I'm very energetic and elaborate when I preach sometimes. And so he said he thought he was gonna catch a snooze, honey, and that didn't work out too good for him. But I just was like, oh, you was gonna go to church and sleep in church, okay? But
The
I guess I
spirit, the
did.
spirit works in mysterious ways sometimes.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does, Donnie, because I needed him to stay up. Look, I needed him to stay up and be supportive. Okay, so here's the next one. You can come to church just as you are.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Come as you are. Yes.
okay.
That was an easy one. That was an easy
That's
one.
the easy one.
That was an easy one. I got to follow up on that too. So one of the reasons come as you are. So don't be discouraged about coming to church because you got this going on, you got that going on. Like church is the place to figure all that out. But one of the reasons I love going to church when I was a little kid was because it was a place where I could see black people and black people doing well. Like everybody used to wear their Sunday best, wasn't no drama, wasn't no stress. I look around and everybody, I'm 6, 7, 8 years old. Everybody appears to me to be doing well. But I think sometimes we get caught up on the come as you are and talking about the physical appearance, but that's not always the case. Come as you are means, you got some stuff on the inside that you're working through. You don't have to have that situated and figure it out. Come as
Yeah.
you are, and the church will help you figure that out.
Well, I got that, but do you think that they should really physically come as they are? That's the
Come,
myth bust.
yes, come as you are, because some people just might not, you know, you might not, you might not have it, or you might not be hit to, hey, this is a place of worship, and we want you to come as you are. But there's also a place of respect. So, there is a certain way that you should dress and present yourself to the Lord as out of respect.
Yeah.
However, though, if you don't know that, Don't
Right.
turn people away. So come as you are.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Some people
You got to learn.
have never been to church in their life. They don't even have a bloodline to know anything about God, and they may be the first generation. And yes, you see, yes, they were at the club last night and came in with the same thing they had on at the club. You
Hey,
know,
I ain't going clubbing no more, but I was
well,
there. I
I
was
do
there,
think there's a little difference between the men's club outfit and the women, but we're gonna leave that
That's fair.
there
That's
because
fair. Yeah, that's a
we're
different conversation.
delivered
Different
and set
conversation.
free. All right. So I'm going to just go to our closing, and I want to do a reflection and advice. And to be honest, you kind of already answered one of the questions. So I just want to ask you one question, and then I want to give you a couple of minutes just to talk to the community. But um, what words of encouragement would you give to another young person to be that difference in the community?
Words of encouragement. Um, the a people without vision will perish. So you have to have a vision first, and then you have to stick to that vision. Other people might not, God gave you the vision. He didn't give the vision to other people. So other people might not understand where you're coming from. They might look down on you and they may not even support you. But as long as you're um, situated in God's vision and his path for you over your life, everything is going to work out. And it might not happen when you want it to happen, but you just got to keep going. Jacob toiled for 12 years before he found his eventual wife. So it's gonna take some work, and that's gonna be okay. You walk through that fire, you're gonna be refined, you're gonna come out shining like gold. So just keep going.
Thank you so much. And again, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Mr. Burr, and anything that we haven't talked about that you want to leave with the community to make sure that once we leave here tonight, it is etched in their spirit and their minds and their hearts.
I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to you for having me on Walking Through the Fire. This has been a tremendous honor and a blessing to my soul. As we close here, I just want everybody to keep everybody's favorite day company incorporated in their hearts and in their minds. Anything that you can do to help spread the word about that, whether that be your time, your treasures, or your talents, a simple like, a post, or reshare of any of our posts goes a long way. We will post the PayPal so you can donate some of them treasures. I need some of them treasures as well. But we are a small nonprofit and we're
They're precious.
dedicated to meeting the needs of the community in a real and honest way. Walking through the fire is one of those things and one of those avenues that we're proud to be a part of and be able to support. But we're just getting going, and you'd rather be on the front end versus on the back end because we're gonna run that bag up. We full of stamina, so book us now for the price go up. So if you can come in and just kind of help us in any way possible, that'd be great.
Yeah. Thank you again so much, Mr. Burr. It was a pleasure talking with you this evening on
Absolutely.
Walking Through the Fire. Ted, we didn't even talk about Jag, your dog, but that's all right. Tell Miss Burr, I said thank you so much for allowing us to steal you away from your busy
Absolutely.
schedule. And community, thank you for hanging in with us. Again, we're going to post that link for the donations if you want to give to everybody's favorite day, as well as you can locate them on social media platforms on Instagram. If you want those gardening tips, he got them for you, okay?
We got them. We got them.
Yes. Don't forget, next week, we going to be here, okay? Thursday. It'll be, I know, y'all see my border. It is Christmas Eve, but that's okay. While you wrapping those presents, go on and turn on YouTube at 7:30 and watch Walking Through the Fire. Why? Because the sister circle is coming back with me. If y'all enjoyed them the last time, they back for another one.
There
A
you
whole bunch
go.
of people text me, inbox me saying, y'all need to do that again. But guess what we're going to be talking about, y'all? We're going to talk about, do you think you should tell your kids that there's no Santa Claus? Well, until next time, guys, Again, thank you. You can catch me on all social media platforms here on YouTube, Walking Through the Fire LLC. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe to my channel, but hit the bell as well. So every time we go live, every time we post something, you will be the first to know. As well, you can catch me on Facebook, Walking Through the Fire, Instagram at Anointed 37, and TikTok, Crystal Majors 159. Again, I love you guys. Until next time, may God keep you, may God cover you, and may God bless you. Have a
Amen.
great evening, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, Mr. Burr.
Y'all stay blessed. I see y'all when I see y'all.